Everyone, welcome. Today's Tish Talks Tech is probably going to just knock you over because today we are not talking about mainframe. Oh no, I know. We are going to talk about something that's a little bit beyond mainframe. We're going to talk about something, talk about standing out because sometimes we need to get a job. So remember how we were talking about how did you get to here? How do you get from I've learned all this really cool stuff. I've actually put in all of this work. I did all of these labs. Now I have to stand out. Now I'm starting to get these certifications. Now I've put in all of this skin in the game. I have somebody on the show that can actually help you with that. Two-time TEDx speaker, Ira Bowman, philanthropist, SEO wizard, Ira Bowman. This is an individual that has maxed out their connections on LinkedIn. Do you know how hard it is to max out a connection? Like your connection. I'm gonna stop because, like I said, we only have an hour.
First of all, can I say this? It's easy. You know what you're doing. I'm
It's easy if you know how to do it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you guys how to do it if you want. Look, I maxed out on LinkedIn in 2019, in February 2019. It only took me 7 months, from 1,520 connections to 30,000 in 7 months. You can do it if you want to. You might have to change your thinking, and you're probably going to have to change your strategy, no doubt.
No doubt.
But if you want to do it, I can teach you how to do it.
Yeah. Can I just say, you and I, we talked about this before. I remember you from Twitter. Here we go again. Twitter. I remember you
tweet.
From way back.
Tweet.
I remember you back when Twitter was popping. I can remember you saying and you had did a TEDx. I think it was the first TEDx. And I can remember you saying something as simple as talk to people. If you want to stand out, talk to people.
Yeah, quit trying to be a celebrity, right? Look, I have 500,000 followers online. And that's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket compared to famous people. I think the biggest thing, and I hate this word authentic because it's way overused, just like the word pivot, right? But at the end of the day, people want to connect and they relate with other human beings. The biggest thing that we want is we want people who will not big time us. We want people who will appreciate us where we are, who will support us where we are struggling. Maybe we'll make key introductions for us. And now we'll go to the point that you were talking about before. How do we get from where we are to where we want to be? This all ties together. We'll put it together for you nicely. If you guys hang tight for an hour, you'll learn some things today, I think.
Wow. So can you help us to appreciate your journey?
Sure.
Because, and I don't want to start with like the whole layoff. Because you are a geek's geek.
It goes before that. I mean, honestly, look, LinkedIn, the journey to LinkedIn and how I got Project Help You Grow off the ground was way before I ever thought I would be a business owner. It was way before I thought I would become an entrepreneur, which I didn't even know how to spell that word, let alone what it meant. But I was selling printer equipment, technology. This is a tech show, right? So I was selling plotter technology, which is large format printing equipment. It used to be CAD based only, but it's kind of evolved into graphics, which
a lot of people don't know
is
that.
Right. And it's why I graduated into graphics, which is an interesting story all by itself. But here was the deal. For 18 years, I pounded the pavement more than anybody I know. I was making 30 to 50 cold calls a day, every single day in the financial district of San Francisco, on the streets of Las Vegas, out there in Texas. I did it in a variety of places, was always successful. But about 2016, the success of cold calling And I mean true cold calling now. These are people who have never heard of me before.
Right.
Stack of flyers in my hand, business cards, little briefcase, or I was going to show you my little leather book, right? It's not on my desk. I don't really use it anymore, but I've got one here somewhere. I just can't see it. That's okay. But I would walk in and I would start a conversation and I would do the things that I'm doing online. So this is not that part is not new, like treating people like people and starting
Mhm.
conversations. I've been doing that forever. My stepdad, in fact, used to call that the good old boy approach. I call it the aw shucks approach. But I
Aw,
would go
shucks.
in and I would try to start a conversation about anything but what I was there for and talk to you as long as I could and get you to realize that I'm not a bad guy because I'm a salesman and nobody wants to talk to a
Right.
salesman, right? Okay. Well, 2016, especially in San Francisco, where I was at the time, the gatekeepers had a much easier time locking us out of the buildings because now you started having, again, improvement in technology. You had to have the magnetic cards to get up the elevator.
Mm,
If you could get in the building past security, which was getting harder and harder to do
for
by
sure.
itself, you couldn't get up the elevators. You had to go check in. And they first thing they said is, "Who are you here to see?" Well, I didn't know. I didn't know anybody. I was just there because I knew the company was
Yeah.
there,
Hence
right?
cold calling.
So so I knew at that point, 2016, I knew that I needed social media. But like many people, I didn't know what to do with it,
Mhm.
right? Like, I would send out connection requests to people I thought would be good prospects, and what would happen? They'd see account executive or whatever and go, "No way, man. I'm not letting you in. You're just gonna try and sell me
Yeah.
something," which is true. I was gonna try and sell them something. Now, what did I do? I realized this. If I wanted to reach people effectively,
Mhm.
I needed to figure out an apparatus that could reach them without them taking an appointment. Because the other thing that was starting to happen, and you guys have seen this across all industries, when someone gets let go or they quit or they retire or whatever, normally what's happening in most places, they don't replace that person. What do? They take the old job responsibilities of that one person and they cut it up and they start distributing it out to
Yep.
other people. Now less people, same amount of work, meaning more everybody has got to do
Mhm.
more, meaning they have less free time. When I started selling in 2000, selling CAD plotters, pen plotters, HP 750s and 450s. You guys want to talk technology? We could get into this, right? Where you had computers that were DOS based. They didn't have, they didn't even have a mouse, right? These are old
Yeah.
systems. Back then, I could take somebody golfing, and this is embarrassing to admit it now, but or to a strip club, and I could schmooze them. Yeah, oh yeah. I
Stop.
sold a lot of expensive equipment. Yeah. Here's But it was about entertaining,
Yeah.
like, you would make friends with them, and then you would entertain them, and then they would give you as the reward, they would give you the purchase order, right? Well, back in 2016, the other thing that started to happen as a consequence of the, I've got more work to do, they have less time for sales calls. So even if you could get somebody, you had them for like 5 minutes, you couldn't take them to lunch. You certainly couldn't go play golf for 4 hours. You couldn't, take them out at night and I found God, and so I didn't wanna do that anymore
For
anyways.
sure.
That's a different story for a different show, but, anyways, so what am I gonna do? Well, that's where YouTube and Twitter came in for me. I started to make demonstration videos because these are very sophisticated machines with software, custom-based software, custom GUI, right? So you have this custom software and you need to show people like, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, even if you are one, to run your large format printer, scan, print, copy,
Mhm.
right? And so what we were trying to show people too is how fast they were, not just easy, but fast. So instead of sending it out to a reprographic house, which is what most people would do, they could do it internally. They could add software that would track the printing and match it via job codes. So now you had for your accounting system, you could bill. But I had to show people this. If they weren't giving me the time of day because they didn't know me and they didn't want to meet with the salesperson they didn't know, how was I going to do it? It was video. Video is how I did it. So I would do these demonstration videos. Nobody was doing it in that industry. So I would put them on YouTube, and my YouTube videos would get seen by thousands of people. Now, all of a sudden, when I would go and try to meet with somebody, they started to recognize my name. They didn't necessarily know me but they knew my name. And so I was like, maybe I should take that
Mhm.
call. So that's where it started. Well, then with LinkedIn in 2018, that's where I learned that if I was to connect with people that aren't direct, see, what's that first, second, and third level connection for? It's a really important thing to understand about LinkedIn. It makes it unique from all the other social media platforms. Well, I learned what it means. So I learned if I connect with somebody second or third, it still gives them an opportunity to see those videos I was making on
Mhm.
YouTube and posting on LinkedIn. Well, that's where I started to blow up. Then I figured out if I could help the people on LinkedIn do what they want to do, accomplish their goal on LinkedIn, they would help me accomplish my goal. Hence, Project Help You Grow was born. That's the website that I created to help job seekers connect with recruiters and
Mhm.
employers. It's still going today. It's 5 years old. But in 2018, I launched that in September of 2018. By February of 2019, because I was helping so many people on LinkedIn find
A
jobs,
lot of people got their start with Project Help You Grow. I know a few.
hundreds of thousands, yeah, hundreds of thousands of people have used the
Mhm.
site. So that made me really popular. Now people are commenting on my posts, they're sharing my posts, they're helping me increase my visibility, which is key to all of this. If you want to accomplish your professional goals in life, you need to increase your visibility. Write that down. That is the fundamental thing. It's not about being the smartest. It's not about having the most certs. It's not about where you went to school, whether you graduated from MIT or UC Berkeley or San Jose State or wherever you graduated from, or even if you didn't graduate, you can get these jobs if you learn how to increase your visibility. Because why? I will tell you a secret. I used to hire a lot of sales folks, right? When all the resumes basically were the same and the interviews were basically the same, what I would do is I would go to their LinkedIn profile and see who's got the biggest network. Why? Because that's a flamethrower for them to get the message out. So if they have a bigger flamethrower, that gave them the edge.
So I want to go back a little bit because
Yeah.
here's the thing. A lot of times people will always come back, and I've had this conversation with individuals in small groups. And I get the question like this: I want to connect with the right people.
Oh yeah, I hear it every
I
day.
want to connect with the right people. How do I connect with the right people? And to be honest, like for me, coming from, I used to do hair and makeup. And so if
Mhm.
I go out and a lot of my stuff would always come from, well, who do you know? Who do you
Yeah.
know? If
No,
you
for sure.
can book,
I get that. I get that. Yeah, I get that as a photographer. People ask me,
who do you
"Who have
know?
you
Who have you done?
whose photos have you taken photos with, Ira?"
Yeah,
Right? So this is never out of arm's length, by the way. I love photography work.
absolutely.
But I get that question. Look, I just have my photos featured in Forbes. I just got hired to do my first magazine cover shoot, right? But I didn't start there.
That's it.
So let's talk about it. All right. So on LinkedIn, you're sending out connection requests to people that you think should be your direct prospects. And you're receiving connection requests from people who aren't your they seem it seems like on face value, and this is the failed logic that most people are
Ooh,
operating
talk
under.
about
They
this.
can't, yeah, we're gonna talk about it right now. So look, you think they can't help you at all. But let me ask you this question. How many connections do you have currently?
Mhm.
Right? Let's say, for example, the answer is 2,000, because that's about the average LinkedIn account size, 2,000. That's not very many, but that's how many most people have. And they think they got a pretty big network. I hear that all the time from
Right.
people,
I've
right?
got a
Like, all right,
substantial
well, how many?
network of 2,000 people.
Yeah, and they're all the right
They're
people.
all the
Okay,
right
great.
people.
Great. Let me ask you this. If you had a circuit breaker in your home and it had 30,000 slots. You could put 30,000 breakers and circuits in, right? Okay. You could do that, but you only had 2,000. Would you say you're making efficient use of your circuit breaker or are you being inefficient with it? That's a question. How much power are you going to drive to your home if you've got 28,000 open slots in your circuit breaker? Probably not a lot. What if your engine had 30,000, the capability to run at 30,000 horsepower, but you were only running it at 2,000
Mhm.
horsepower? Would you be going as far and as fast as you could? Yeah, probably not,
Mhm.
right? So let's take it to LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives you a gift. It's the biggest gift of any of the social media platforms. They let you have 30,000 direct connections. Twitter is 5,000. Instagram 7,500, right?
And they
So
will cut you
Facebook is
off.
yeah, Facebook is 5,000, right? So all these other networks have smaller ones and nobody ever complains, but with LinkedIn it's 30,000, everybody gets upset.
Yep.
They only give you 30,000? Yeah, well, you can have as many followers as you want. I got 186,000 now that they just cut me back
Yep.
21,000 because of the what cut out. But here's the thing. All right, the right people typically are not what you think. What you really want are people who are going to engage in your stuff. They're not going to just say great share, great post, whatever. They're going to actually have a conversation with you in the comments.
Mhm.
Okay, why? Because you gotta feed the algorithm.
Mhm.
If you feed the algorithm and you get 1,000,000 views on your post, guess what? Everybody's gonna see your post. You know how many people I meet and they go, "Man, you're always in my feed. Every 5 minutes I see your stuff." I'm like, "Dude, I post once every other day. I don't post every day. I don't post 4 times a day." My average post is once every other day on LinkedIn, but people will tell you I'm posting all the time. No, you're seeing it in your feed because of the way people engage with my content. And I can't help that. Actually, I could. I built it that way on purpose.
It's
So let's talk
intentional.
about yeah, what's the first, second, and third level? First level are the ones that you're connected directly to.
Mhm.
Second level, let's say there's somebody named Sally. All right. Letitia is connected to Sally, but I'm
Yeah.
not. But because I'm directly connected to Letitia, Sally's my second level. Now let's say Sally's connected to Tom, and Tom just happens to be the head of a magazine agency. And Letitia wants to go and do makeup work. This is all hypothetical. But, anyways, she wants to go do makeup work for that magazine. Well, she's not connected to Tom. I'm not connected to Tom. But because Letitia's connected to Sally and Sally's connected to Tom, that's Letitia's second and my third.
Mhm.
When I make a post, because Tom's in my first, second, or third degree level, he has the opportunity to see my post. If Letitia comes and comments on my post, Tom, because he's Letitia's second, also has an opportunity to see her comment.
Yep.
And now her visibility went up. You see?
Mhm.
Now, let's say 3 posts later, Tom makes a comment on Sally's post. Well, we're connected. We can see that comment. If we're so inclined, we can go and respond. That's how it works. So, what you got to do, first of all, there's 2 things. Stop being so selective because I'll tell you that everybody that's on LinkedIn, there's really only 2 types. There's the active folks and the inactive folks.
And the
And
thumb
what
uppers.
yeah, well, but LinkedIn just cut out all the hibernating accounts, all the
Oh,
inactive
that's right.
accounts.
That's why all the follows went down too. That's
Right,
right.
right.
Mhm.
So here's the thing to do. When someone sends you a connection request, forget the name and the title and the location for a moment. We're going to come back to location in a second. But what I really want you to do is just go to their activity level. Go to their activity and see how often do they comment. Because if they're commenting 5 or 6 times a day or 2 or 3 times a week, that's a good connection for you.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with what they do. Look, I was in sales for 20 plus years. I'm still technically in sales, even though I own my own business now,
Right.
right? So I get that you want to find people that are going to potentially be your prospects. I understand.
Mhm.
But a straight line might be the shortest distance between 2 points, but often it's not the most efficient
Mhm.
way to go, right? Why in football? I love sports. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an analogy real quick.
Lay it on us.
In sport, in sports, that let's go
Yep.
football. The offense needs to move the ball to get a first down 10 yards forward,
Yep.
right? So if the best strategy is always a straight line, why don't they just hand it to the running back every single time and have them run straight up the middle? Why? Because there is defense. There's obstacles in the way. And sometimes the obstacle in the way on LinkedIn is the other person that you're trying to connect with isn't interested in you because they have their own objective,
Mhm.
right? They don't want, look, think about it. You don't want to be sold anything, and neither do they.
Mm-mm.
But what do they actually want? They want to be
Yep.
supported. So if you can adapt this concept of commenting a lot, adding value comments to people's posts, then the people you do engage with are going to appreciate you, and you're going to become friends. I'm on 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃 show. I told her before the show started, I turned down most
You do
opportunities to do these kinds of shows,
all
but
the
I
time.
actually asked 𝗬𝗃𝗃 if I could be on her show because I want to support her, right? Because I know, like, and trust her. We've built this relationship over years.
We
Okay,
use eat.
so back to football. When they're running these plays, what do? Look at the route tree for the receivers and the running backs. A lot of times there's at least one break.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's 2 or 3
Yeah.
breaks, right? And there's usually like one person who's going to go straight like a go route, and the rest of them are doing some extra steps to try to shake the defenders.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, you need to stop just going go, and you need to start shaking the
Going live.
defenders. Here's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Connect with people. Let's go back to location. The globe has 24, we call it longitude and latitude, right? But it's cut up into 24 time zones. So part of what you want to do in your new strategy I'm giving you right now, if you want to grow fast and you want to connect with the right people, you just have to connect with some of the wrong people first. They're not wrong, you just think they're wrong. The right people are people that are active. They are people that will support you. I'm not talking about bots. I'm not talking about connect with everybody under the sun. I'm not talking about being a open networker. You don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find people who are actually using LinkedIn on a regular basis, that's your
Yeah.
workforce. My friend Mike O'Connell, he calls them fence painters.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there actively. There are people that are unemployed that are commenting like 40 times a day. Those are the folks that you want to connect with. Why? Because they're going to be out there spreading your seed all over the place, and they're not even doing it for you. They're just
And you're
it's a
engaging
print
with them because
yeah.
there are other people like, and that's really, not to cut you off, but that's a really good point, because those unemployed people and you being that unemployed person, and y'all are kind of talking and going, like, for instance, the people that are on the 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃, the IBM 𝗬𝗃𝗃 platform, those folks are talking all the time. How do I do this?
Yeah.
How do I get this done? How do I level up in 𝗬𝗡𝗡𝗏? And then they start posting the things that they love when they're on LinkedIn. And Ira, can you imagine if they were doing that all the time? I'm talking to that guy in India. I'm talking to that guy in Wales. I'm talking to that guy down in Texas. And they start doing that all the
I've been doing this.
time?
Yeah. I've been doing this for 5 years. For 5 years, I've been
Oh
doing
my
nothing but that. I've
goodness.
got friends all over the globe. I can't go to any city and not have a friend there.
My
You understand what I'm saying?
goodness.
And I'm not talking about an acquaintance that I met online once. I'm talking about friends, real friends. Everywhere I go, there's somebody that I know that's friends. Now, let me help you guys out. Let me finish this strategy
Yeah,
for you.
keep going, because this is gold.
My
People
loc
are going to find
my
jobs
loc
doing this. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Well, and I'll tell you how. Okay, there's a few things. Like, it's not just a one. There's not just one bullet point. I know everybody wants it really simple, but this, you're gonna have to pay attention because there's more than one component to this. All right, but if you do it, I promise you, it works. It works so well that some of the people that have more free time than me actually have passed me up like a dirty shirt. I taught them how to do this. They spent 8 to 10 hours a day doing it, and now they have millions of followers on LinkedIn.
Gosh.
Okay, so one of the best people at it was my really good friend who passed away. Uh, I'm gonna cry. Uh,
You take your
I can't.
time.
I can't.
You take your
Kirsty
time.
Bonner. Kirsty Bonner. When I met her, had 10,000 connections on
Hmm.
LinkedIn. By the time she passed away, she had 3.2 million. All she did was took my strategy and employed it. She didn't know how to grow on LinkedIn. She was doing great work. 8 hours a day, she was helping people in India find jobs for free, right? She used to post her jobs on Project Help You Grow when I launched it because she was working as an independent recruiter in Switzerland and didn't have her own website. And she needed a place to house her
Yeah.
jobs. And she couldn't believe that I would let her do it for free. Anyways, but here's the thing. The globe has 24 time zones. I want you, write this down, folks. I want you to go find at least 100 in each time zone. I don't care where they are, right? Like, Japan is the same time zone basically as Australia. So you could find 50 in Tokyo and 50 in Sydney or whatever, and it doesn't matter. But have 100 in each one of them. Why? Because when you make posts, what you really need to happen if you want your posts to go big, you need people all over the world who are awake when you're asleep to continue to engage in your posts and feed that algorithm when you're asleep. That's not going to happen if you connect with only people like, look, I had a geographical territory that was always cities, not even states or countries, right? So when I was selling those plotters, I was in San Francisco, or I was in Las Vegas, or I was down in San Antonio and Austin, Texas, right? Those were the three areas that I did this in.
Mhm.
Okay. Never had like these huge, I also did in Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know why I always forget that one too, but anyways, okay. But in all of them, right? Like I was never going to sell something to somebody in Pakistan or somewhere to somebody in Nigeria or to somebody in London, right? So I thought, like most people do, why would the hell would I ever want to connect with somebody in any of those places? In fact, just mentioning Pakistan scared the crap out of me. I'm like, they're going to try and hack me, right? Aren't they all hackers?
No, don't
That's what
say
I thought.
that.
No, 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 no. I know, but that's what I thought, right? That was
But you
my
changed your mindset and you were able
right,
to
right, right,
see that it was
right.
wonderful places everywhere.
Look, this is why you should go through their content because now you'll know who they are and what they're about. You can see before you
Mhm.
connect what they're about, how active they are. If they're not active, they really don't hold any intrinsic value for you. There's no coattails to ride because they're not going to be commenting on your posts. So, just the fact that they're in this location, they have to be active. Again, that's the foundation to all this, these comments. It's going to be the foundation for you too in a second. All right. So, location, 100 per time zone at least. Now, let's say you have 2,000. Well, let's say you have a big account, right? I say big facetiously. All right. Let's say you have 10,000. You've killed it on LinkedIn. You've got 10,000. Well, you still have 20,000 open slots. And let's say you do want to connect with you have some direct people, you want to save some room. Okay, great. What I do, I save 5 spots. Okay, so I have 29,900. Well, actually, right now I have 29,998 connections. I have 2 open slots because I just filled 3.
Mhm.
So I'll go in and find a couple more and I'll cut them out that aren't active anymore. All right. But what I recommend for most people, save like 2,000. So fill up from where you are to like 28,000 with people that are active. If you do that, first of all, if you do the rest of the strategy, you're going to blow up so fast, you're not going to know what hit you. And then when you go to apply to jobs and people look at your LinkedIn, they're going to fall out of their freaking chair because you're going to be competing with people who have 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 5,000. An off shoot or two will have maybe 10,000, but you'll have 30,000 plus followers. And they'll be like, how did you do that? And then what you're going to do is, well, I listened to smart strategy. I learned how to increase visibility. And every time you share a post, a company post, if I repost it, it's going to be seen by thousands of people. That's the power of this. All right. So once you fill it up, you're looking at active. Again, don't worry about title because if you're trying to sell on LinkedIn or any social media, you're making a mistake. It's a strategy mistake. So let's talk about human psychology for just a moment. People don't want to be sold. What do they actually want? Letitia, when you make a post, I'm going to tell you what you want to happen. What you really want to happen is you want people to like it, to comment on it, and to share it. We've all been programmed that that's what success looks like. That's not what success looks like, but that's what we've been told success looks like. So if you know that's what most people want and you do those things for people, guess what happens? As long as you're not in their DMs or sending them
Bam.
spam email,
Yeah.
right? Don't try and sell them anything. Just try to build a relationship. You're trying to build as many relationships as you can all the time. Always be friendly. Leave the drama offline. There's no place for it. It's so easy to find all of it. Trust me, even when you hit delete, it's still on a server. It's been propagated. You can't get rid of it. I'm talking to tech people. Hopefully, you understand what I'm talking about, right? But most people don't get that. They think, oh, I deleted it. I'm safe. No, bro, you blew off steam, but you ruined your reputation. And that, when it comes into the background checks, can be a reason that you get removed from consideration
Mm.
because they think you're a hothead or you have a very low emotional intelligence. Your EQ is low, right? So do me a favor, just keep it positive all the time. It will help you more than anything. But when you're making these comments, here's your ratio. You guys like math? I'm a math guy. I love math, right? So 80% of your time needs to be making comments. When I go to social media, 80% of my effort is not creating content. I create good content. Trust me, I'm a graphic designer. I'm a video editor. I'm a photographer. I can make some really cool stuff. But the fact is, it's inefficient. It's more efficient to give people what they want than to try to puff yourself up. Quit trying to be a celebrity. Be humble. Be gracious. Be kind. Be helpful. If you get a reputation for those things, your friends will pass you around so fast you don't even know it hit
Right.
you. And that's what happens to me. It's been happening to me for 5 years. Trust me, I'm used to it now. But too many people are spending half an hour trying to build or craft the perfect post and then spending 30 seconds on other people's stuff, giving some thumbs only, hoping that then those people will come over and support them. Like, yeah, the way you supported me, I'll give you a thumb. You know how many DMs I get every single day? Can you comment on my post, please? I'm like, look, if you were commenting in my post, you wouldn't have to send me that DM because I would do it naturally. I go to the people's posts who comment on my posts and I comment on their posts.
You mean take care of the
That's how
people that take care of you?
Yeah, right. So think about it this way. If you were to pay it forward, remember that movie, Pay It
Yeah.
Forward? If you pay it forward enough, the world calls this karma. I call it reaping what you sow. You call it whatever you want. But the fact is, if you're out there 80% of the time being kind to other people with no, like, I'm doing this because I know you could potentially buy something from me. Take that in your mind, right? Like, just do it because it's the right thing to do. I'm telling you, this not only works on LinkedIn, this works on every platform. It works on Twitter. It works on Instagram. It works on Facebook. I went from 1,520 connections to 1,000 followers, 30,000 connections only because that was the limit, and 100,000 followers in less than a year, okay, on LinkedIn. And everybody said, well, that was because of Project Help You Grow. You can't do that on any other platform. I said, bet. And then what I did is I went to Instagram and I did it again. I'm at 140,000 followers or subscribers on my Instagram account. You know how? Because 80% of the time I'm on Instagram, I'm looking at other people's stuff and I'm giving them the hearts and I'm giving them the comments. And I'm not just saying great photo. I'm telling them what I actually like about the photo. I'm asking them questions. I'm getting involved in their comments. I'm supporting them. And I'm not asking for anything in return.
And it's showing people that you care.
It is. It's showing them your heart.
Yeah.
Look, you could say a lot about what you believe in, but if you want to know what someone actually believes in, just watch the way they spend their time. It's the only commodity that you can't buy more of. We all have the same fixed amount. So what is actually important to you is not what you say is important to you. It's what you invest your time and your money in.
Yeah.
So look at those things, right? If I'm looking at somebody and I'm looking at their activity level and I see the person's making 15 comments a day, they're all good comments, and he's not selling anybody in the comments, or she, they are just supportive. I want that person. I will cut somebody out of my network on LinkedIn and add somebody like that. Because that's social media gold. Honestly, that's social media gold. Now let's talk about post contents for a second. You want to talk about strategies, there's two that you really need to know. First of all, you're never selling. You're always educating or entertaining. Don't forget the water cooler, folks. I call it water cooler conversations. You don't want to be on message all the time because you need people who aren't in your industry to come and be able to comment on your post without platitudes, without just saying great post, great share, whatever. They need to be able to engage in the content. You need to keep their
interest. You don't
interest.
want them to do this to your comment, like, what does that mean again?
Well, or they're there to support you, but they can't follow because you're so industry specific. You're deep dived in your acronyms so far that I don't know what you mean. You start talking about alphabet soup and these things that are super complicated. And frankly, social media, don't forget the first word in social media is social, right? This isn't tech talk, even if you're in the tech industry.
Exactly.
This is social media. Why did you come here? Because you wanted to take a break from work. So you know it's why all those cat videos, they're stupid as hell. But why do they get so many engagements? Because it's light. It's comics. Remember when you got the Sunday paper, what did you go to first? Did you go to the tech section? Did you go to the politics section? Or did you go to the sports and the comics?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, be a little bit more fun on social media. So entertain and educate. The education part is what most people should replace when they're trying to sell. Instead of Educate. Show people you're smart, but don't talk to them like a peer. Explain it like they're 5.
Right.
And what that does is that opens up the bandwidth of all the people that can participate. If I come in, somebody called me out for not being a mainframer. Now, I will disagree with you. We can get into the Commodore 64 if you'd like, and my Apple IIe computer and all those wonderful things that I grew up on. But the fact is, I'm not a mainframer like y'all, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not as deep in it as you. Now, it might surprise some of you that I can ghost a computer and rebuild it from scratch. Maybe, right? But I'm a nerd, so it shouldn't surprise you. But here's the
But we love that you are a part of the tech community,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why you're here. And we also love that you are willing to share how to stand out, because at the end of the day, Ira, there are some people that are trying their best, and there's some folks that are trying to get jobs, right?
Yeah.
And they are heads down people. Not
No, I get it.
everybody is like you and I, where we are so used to, like, we are naturally sales types people. We are naturally, like, not everybody could walk into Neiman Marcus and be like, hi, welcome to Estee Lauder. What can I get for you? Or not everybody can go and shoot a wedding and get the best look. Not everybody can do that, right?
Well,
So,
let's
but
talk about
for
this,
us, we can.
Yeah,
But when you're heads down all the time, or this is all that you know all the
yeah.
time, it's nice to have somebody to come to you and say, let me show you how to be a little more stand out-ish, a little more
Yeah,
gregarious, so that you can be able to talk. You got to engage folks so that people will know who you are. We
100%.
know that you're an awesome person. Here's how to show it. Thank
Well,
you for coming and showing us that.
but
That's,
let me
you know.
let me talk to the psyche for a second, okay?
are, you,
About
are you sure about
the mind, okay? I know there's a lot of introverts out there.
Yeah.
Totally get it, and it surprises a lot of people when they find out that I'm also an introvert. This is
Yeah.
not my natural. I've learned how to be this,
You
right?
got to.
But when I turn the camera off and the lights are off, trust me, I'm a lot more reserved. I've got 12 books right there that I'm reading right now, right? I'm that guy. I read all the time. I'm a nerd. Okay.
All the time.
But here's the thing. What you know is not the whole story. In
That's it.
fact, it might shock the hell out of some of you to realize that if I had to pick between what I know and who I know, I would go with who I know every single time. The who you know is just as important, if not more important, than the what you know. Now, I'm not saying that certs aren't important and degrees aren't important. Of course they are. Look, if I was going to get operated on, my wife actually has a surgery coming up in September. We're not letting somebody cut her open who doesn't have all the
The
degrees,
expertise.
right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need the education. I'm not trying to dismiss that. But what I'm saying
There's
is this:
nothing wrong with that.
the doors don't get opened with your books. They don't get opened with your diplomas. They sure as hell don't get opened with certs, right? You got to have them for certain things. I'm not
Yeah.
disagreeing with that. But you have to meet people. I call these informational interviews. You want to talk about the job search and tie all this together? Like, if you're stuck and you're trying to become the CTO or the IT manager for a major corporation, the fact is this: most people's resumes will never even be seen. You're not getting through the ATS. They'll never be seen by a human being. They sure as hell aren't going to be seen by the hiring manager or the department manager or the CEO, right? And I know that's a kick in the nuts for a lot of you, but it's the facts. Over 75% of resumes that go through the front door on the website never actually get seen for a variety of reasons we could talk about if you like. But here's the bottom line: most people are getting hired not through the front door. In other words, not through the website. They're getting hired, they're going around the front door. They're getting their resume handed to somebody by somebody inside the company. How many of you have had some type of employee incentive? Go find us somebody, and if they stay for a month or 3 months or 6 months or a year, we'll give you some kind of a bonus. It happens a lot. Why do they do that? They do that because you know the person. You're vouching for the person. So one of the things that you can do by changing the way you use social media and increasing who you know is increase the opportunity for you to get those internal referrals. Again, just because the guy's in marketing and he's not a tech head doesn't mean that the guy can't help you with HR in the company that you're trying. He works for the company you want to work for. I don't care if he's the janitor or whatever you think is the lowest unimportant job. Those people are inside. They get past the firewall, right? So if you
Mhm.
become friends with the janitor at the company you want to work with, even if he's in the wrong city or she's in the wrong city, they still have an opportunity to get your resume in front of the right person. Now, here's what an informational interview is, which is another strategy that I teach and it helps people. Let's say you want to be that IT director for that major tech company. Okay. Find yourself somebody who's doing it or already done it. Already done it's actually sometimes better. They're the next step up. They've made CTO, right? They're the chief technical officer. Okay.
They got the
So
T-shirt. They've done
yeah,
it.
they've been there. They probably got a head full of gray hair, or maybe it's a little
Yeah.
light on top, right? So what do? It's like an interview. It is an interview, but it isn't for a job. What you're doing is you're picking their brain. Now, what I recommend is now COVID, the effects of COVID a lot have been reduced, so you can do this more. For a while if this was really tough. But this is what I recommend. You take them to lunch or you take them to dinner and you treat them because you're going to pick their brain. Now, what you're going to ask, things like, how did you get there? How did you get what was the opportunity? What opened the door for you? Right? You're going to pick their brain, not about the technical parts. You should know that if you're qualified to do the job. You should already
Right.
know that part, right? You have the education down, you have the experience,
That's
maybe
the
not,
hard code part. Yeah.
right? Right? You've got the hard part. This is the soft part, right? This is
Mhm.
the software. Okay. So you're interfacing with someone who has already done it. They say it's easier not to reinvent the wheel, right? So instead of trying to figure out your own path and blaze your own path and be stubborn with your head down, lift your head up, talk to some people. But these are strategic. When you talk about the right people, these are some of the right people because they've
Mhm.
done what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
Now, if you're good at it, the reason why you treat them to the lunch or dinner, first of all, is they're giving you information. So you're giving them the only thing really you can give them is, pay them with some type of food or coffee or whatever, right? Because you don't have anything for them. They've already done what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But if you're successful at having this conversation and asking for advice, like, hey, if you were starting over and you hadn't already done this, what are some things that you would recommend I do? So, you know what I mean? Like, get them in that place. If you're successful with it, they will bond with you. And there's the potential for them to now take you under their wing and be your mentor, which would be a great outcome. Now, what's more likely than that is that they'll give you some really solid advice for you to work. So maybe there's a couple epiphanies or aha moments. But here's the other thing that can happen, which I see this all the time. They have a Rolodex. Again, I'm dating myself. That's okay. They have a contact list. Their CRM, right? They're on HubSpot. They got 7,500 people in their CRM. Okay, whatever. They have some connections, and they might even have connections at that company. But they have some connections, and they might connect you and send your resume to them. Again, you're getting around the ATS. You're getting around the brick stone wall. That's so hard to penetrate. So
And then
you,
again, there you go with who you know, because
who you
now,
know, it's all who you know. It's all
hey,
who you
I
know.
know so and so. Here's Brad's, Mary's,
Yeah.
Shakita's,
All right.
Jose's webs.
Homework. Add people that you would do an informational interview with. Can I share my screen? Is it possible?
Mm-hmm. And we're live,
We're
so
live. We're live. That's fine. Watch
okay.
this. Okay. So watch this. This is my LinkedIn. Can you see it?
It may not share, Ira. Let's
Oh,
see.
okay. That's all right.
Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, there we go.
You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to create a bookmark folder. I've got one for LinkedIn. Now, these are people I don't count on the algorithm to show me people's posts. If I want to see their posts, they're in here, okay? But
Mhm.
what you can do is you can go in here and bookmark. I'm just gonna do one live. Let's say I'm looking for do one like you guys. You guys can see how bad I spell, but I have dyslexia, so don't hate on me too much, folks. All right. So let's just say this isn't a perfect one. This is an engineering tech manager, but that's okay. Let's say this person, I look at their profile and I go, yeah, this is one I want to comment on their posts. I want to support them. I want to catch their attention. So what I'll do is I'm actually going to come down into their activity, which is right here. Okay. He's not making posts, it doesn't look like, but his last post was a year ago. But let's say this was one that I wanted to do. What I would do is I would come here and I would bookmark it, and then I'm going to change the folder to LinkedIn, and I take this stuff off, right? And then you might want to put here a title. So now I come in here later, and it just puts it all the way down at the bottom. But you could drag it anywhere you want, and then it's there, right? And then
Mhm.
I could come back anytime I want to that person's posts.
Right.
You see what I mean?
And it just makes it happen.
It makes it
It makes it
easier to
happen.
comment. So instead of directly going to them without knowing them at all, what I want you to do is identify who those are. You could have 20 of them, you could have 50 of them, you could have 100 of them, you have as many as you want, right? But identify who you would want to do informational interviews with and mix up the companies. You know, you can go through if you're in
You can
Silicon Valley.
diversify it.
Yeah, you're in San Jose or San Francisco, or if you're in Dallas, there's lots of, Austin, wherever you are, right? Find people in that area because you want to take them to lunch or dinner, so they should be close enough for you to drive to get there,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
anyways, what you're going to do, here's the homework. You're going to find those people, you're going to set those bookmarks, you're going to go visit their profiles periodically, like once a week, twice a week. Don't do it every day. You don't want to come across as a stalker. But every time you go there, what I want you to do is find their latest post, read it, and make an intelligent, value-adding comment. Don't just say great post, good share. Don't ever do that. You want to ask
Or that
questions.
was insightful.
Yeah, that doesn't help. If it was insightful, then tell me why, right? Like, I didn't know if I talked to people more on LinkedIn that I would grow my visibility, as
Right.
opposed to that was insightful or great share, right? Talk to them like they're a human being, because they are. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for real people to have real conversations with. Their posts are conversation starters. Your response in the comment is your reply. If you
Mhm.
expect them to reply, look, if you say great share, what am I supposed to say to that? Thanks.
Mhm.
There's nowhere to go with it. But if you actually have a value added comment, now imagine you're doing that 20 to 30 times a day on people that are quote unquote the right people. Now you're
Right.
building relationships with the right people. But don't just do that. Remember, go find people in other areas too and do the same thing with them.
Right.
Because the more you pour out, the more will come back. It almost every I don't want to get into religion here, but almost every religion believes in some form of that. You get what you give.
That's
Give
just the way of the world.
Yeah,
If
give to
you're
receive,
gonna,
right? Like this is common knowledge. But
yeah.
most people aren't doing it. Their strategies are weak, right? But I promise you, if you can make friends with 20 or 30 of those informational interview type folks, people that have done or are doing what it is that you want to do, if you can if you can get into their consciousness as a decent human being, you're not sending them direct messages, you're not trying to sell them anything, you're just supporting their posts. I promise you, they'll start sending you connection requests. You don't have to connect with them, they'll connect with you. And
Mhm.
then be patient. Don't rush. One of the biggest mistakes job seekers make is they go straight for the kill out of desperation. But let me ask you this. Do you like to deal with people who are desperate? Or would you rather deal with somebody you think is going to be a little bit, like that ace? If you're a true ace, right? then aces aren't ever desperate. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? They don't come
Right.
across as desperate. Those are people that we seek out. I came to you because I see your value, right? So be patient. But then once the opportunity presents itself, then have the conversation. Hey, I would love to take you to lunch. I know we don't know each other in person and it might be a little bit weird, but I have this thing called an informational interview. I'd like to ask you some questions, some advice, gain some of your wisdom so I can maybe try to advance my career and not have to reinvent the wheel
Hmm.
to reduce the resistance.
Right.
Most people will be open to that.
Hmm.
So anyways, there's a lot of advice for you. Hopefully that helps.
I think it's helpful, and I think that for people out in the audience, there's a lot of folks that sometimes it's not just lunch. Sometimes it's a now. Ira, you've seen me do this before, so go ahead and have a sip. Let me talk to our friends, okay? So
Talk away.
sometimes this doesn't have to be just lunch or dinner. Sometimes, from experience, this can be Zoom,
Oh
this
yeah.
can be the
Oh, absolutely.
phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can talk to folks and just talk. Sometimes it can be, hey, I really admire what you're doing. Do you mind if I ask you 5 questions in 15 minutes? That's been my thing. And people are like, 5 questions in 15 minutes? Are you sure? And I'm like, I can even show you a countdown clock. It'll be so much fun. And I
Well,
won't ask you any follow-up questions.
let's talk about that strategy for just a second because it's brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
The higher
I learned it from somebody kind of cool.
yeah, the higher they are though, the more effective that will be. If
Yep.
you're talking to a CEO, like, look, let's talk to another crowd for just a second. Let's say you're out there and you're trying to raise funds. You're an entrepreneur-minded person. You're trying to get your funding. You're looking for an angel investor or uh,
That's a whole other show, Ira.
I know, but it goes to this. Too many people are making their presentations too long. They think they got a half-hour meeting, so I got a half hour to show everything. No, man, you got their attention for like 7 minutes.
If
Okay?
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 7 minutes. That's it. So by saying I've got 5 questions or 3 questions would be even better, right? But if you've got just those questions and you honor that, you don't get in the room and then say, "Okay, well, I know I said I had 3, but actually, you're really cool and I'd love to." You got some extra time? You're putting them on the spot. Don't do that. Be a person of your word. You said you had 3 questions. You said you have 5 questions. Have them prepared in
Mhm.
advance. You might even want to send them the questions ahead of time so they can prepare. Because now they know, like, they legitimately have 5 questions and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? So the reason why I like lunch or dinner is because when you're face to face, there's just something about it. It's not always practical, right?
Yeah.
But if
And
you
some
do
people
want to,
haven't worked in a while, so they.
yeah, no, I get it. The money's tight. Money's tight.
Yeah.
Find a way to add some value to them is the idea,
Mhm.
right? Because look, you're taking something from them. You're asking them to give you, a stranger, something that's valuable, their insight. So make sure you find a way to help them. Now, this would be my counterpoint to myself if I was debating myself, right? By adding the comments on their posts, that's what you're adding. That's the value you're adding. So
Yeah.
if times are tough, you've been unemployed for 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, you don't have a lot of money coming in, you can't afford to take people to lunch, and you don't want to take them to Taco Bell, okay? Let me
I love
clarify.
Taco Bell, but that unless
That's
they're
not
like, well, can we go to Taco Bell? We
yeah.
probably won't,
Yeah,
but
we need a sit down place. We need a place like, let's say, Caro's or Chili's or something like that, or better, right? Just okay. If you can't afford that, then do this instead. Use Letitia's approach. I would mix and match. Again, it's a brilliant strategy.
so let me ask you this, because I love to tell my audience about the new stuff that's happening with
Mhm.
certain companies.
Sure.
And I am not going to say any names, and I beg that we just don't say any names.
Okay.
So,
So we won't.
so we won't. But sometimes when we are trying to, I don't know, tell about new stuff, sometimes companies do not even post to social media. Can we talk about very briefly how much money is being left on the table when we don't utilize social media from that standpoint. Because I just feel like I'm like, why is nobody knowing about your brand new product? And it is killer. It is a killer product and nobody knows about it.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons, right? I mean, usually when that happens, it's mostly because the company that they have. I can't think of a single manufacturer of large format plotting equipment that does a good job on social media. I'll throw them all under the bus, right? I'm not going to mention any of their names, but all of them categorically, like they suck. Social media, that's the vacuum that I had to fill myself, and that was why I had to fill it. But I will tell you this, in 2018, I went from making those 30 to 50 cold calls every single day, right? And I was a six-figure sales rep, but barely, okay? I switched over to nothing but social media, which is a whole long story all in itself. But I did nothing but social media. I ended up selling more than I sold with feet on the street. If a company is out there that is not, especially if it's B2C, right? B2B is maybe we could have this argument a little bit differently because we could talk about the power of Google and outside sales reps. But if you're B2C and you're not on social media, and we could even talk about the strategy that needs to be employed here is not an old PR campaign. This isn't a place just for press releases and product brochures and specs and speeds and feeds and all that stuff, right? It's not about,
or your grandma's commercial.
It's got a terabyte of this. It's a cloud-based that. Like, forget all that. I'm talking about build a relationship with your audience.
Get
right?
people to talk. Get people talking.
But
yes,
it's that number's got to be in the billions. To answer your question directly, how much money is being left on the table? It's in the billions for sure.
Ira Bowman. So let's talk to our friends, y'all. If you want to, we've talked we've talked about a lot of stuff, and Ira is very down to earth. I love me some Ira because Ira's going to tell you like it TI is. Yeah. Basically, this is what he's saying. If you want to find a job, and it does not matter where you are in the world, and let's say that job can be someplace down in Australia, you want to find that job. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know your situation. That job is in Texas. That job is in DC, New York, LA, Minnesota. I don't know where you want to live. I don't know how hot you feel like being or how cold. But here's the thing. You have to engage people where they are, and you have to be able to meet them halfway. No more of this just thumbs up on the post. You have to actually talk to folks and engage them. And especially if you are new to the platform. So if you are in the New to Z Hub, if you are doing your advocacy effort, if you are telling people about what you are learning, it's not just LinkedIn, y'all. It has to, if you are on other social media, tell folks, hey, I learned how to use this tool. Hey, I had so much fun today in the CTF. Hey, I learned a new cybersecurity thing in Python, or whatever the case may be.
Let me help you out.
Please.
I did not start on LinkedIn. I started on YouTube. All you have to do, here's content creation for you that'll get you attention in your field.
Yes.
Get your camera, turn it on, go through and do example videos. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Troubleshooting, whatever. Don't make it 60 minutes long all the time. It can be 60 seconds. In fact, a lot of people love the 60-second videos.
You talking about attention?
Yeah.
Getting some attention?
When you go to YouTube, what do most people use YouTube for? You know, there's 2.5 billion monthly active users on YouTube. That's every month, 2.5 billion.
I use YouTube for search engine. I'm gonna be very honest.
Everybody does. It's the second largest search engine in the world, only to YouTube or to Google, which owns YouTube, which is funny. But here's the thing: I'm giving you guys some strategy that will change your world.
Drop the gem.
Title the video what the question is. How do I blank, blank, blank on XYZ, right? How do I get this on that? How do I do this on that, right? So title it that. Why? Because when people go to YouTube, that's what they're searching. They're searching for a question. They want to see something. Not everybody, but your audience is going to want to see how to do stuff. They're in a pinch. If you're good at troubleshooting in your market, you should be blowing up on YouTube. Now take those YouTube videos then once they're done, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, put it everywhere. Why? Because Facebook, everybody thinks is not for business. There's 2.9 billion MAUs, monthly active users on Facebook. It's the number one used platform still in the world. That number is not shrinking. Everybody's done, the reports of my death were greatly, right? You remember that, right? Exaggerated. I think that was John Wayne or somebody like that. But anyways, Facebook's not dying. Facebook's growing. Facebook's getting bigger.
Actively.
Instagram, 2.1 billion monthly active users. You know how many are on LinkedIn? Only 300 million. It's the 20th ranked social media platform by monthly active users. Now, here's something that'll float your boat too, or knock your hair back if you have any. I don't.
Or put it on the floor if it's not a text, right?
But here's the thing. Only of the 300 million, how many of those are from the United States? If you're worried about your geofence and you only want to connect with the right people and they're only in your city, well, guess how many people in the United States in total are using LinkedIn? Do you know?
I would say for me, maybe 2 to 1.
It's not even that high. It's less than 3 to 1. Less than 90 million people a month.
I can believe that.
Are on LinkedIn from the United States every month. It's less than 30%.
And we're walking around here giving a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And you expect to get attention.
You're telling me
out.
that your only social media platform is LinkedIn. You're only interested in connecting with people from the United States. And I'm asking you, have you never understood what marketing is for and how it can help you? This is where I use technology. I study algorithms. I know it's not hardware, it's software, but it's all rules, math based. I'm looking at how these things work, but you also have to look at the population. Who's using it? It matters. It makes a big difference. 81% of American adults use YouTube every single month. Let's do the math. How many Americans are there? There's over 300 million. 80% of that, 240 million plus Americans are on YouTube every single month. If you're trying to reach Americans only and you're not on YouTube, you're making a big mistake. Over 60%, by the way, are on Facebook. So again, what platforms you are on and what you're doing on them, you might want to hire somebody like me or talk to somebody like me who can help you figure this stuff out. Because your strategy is the reason why you're struggling. It isn't because you're not smart enough. It isn't because you're not qualified. It's because you're not reaching the people that you need to reach. You're not
thinking out of the box.
But you're not making the relationships. You have the hardware, but you're missing the software. You've got to have both.
You know what, Ira? Lori Jennings had posted the other day. She's like the recruiting goddess down in Richmond, Virginia. For tech. And she was talking about, she at one time had 600, and under like 5 minutes or so, she got 600 resumes from off of LinkedIn. She said, how do you stand out from that? She said, and then somebody sent, out of that 600, she might have gotten like 400 of them with standardized intros. She's like,
let me ask you this.
Get some standout. And she did exactly what you said you do, which was she looked at the LinkedIn and to see who put skin in the game.
Did she actually hire somebody from LinkedIn?
I didn't go that deep because it was none of my business.
I understand. That's the other part of it, right? Like at the end of the day, look, I run Project Help You Grow. If you guys aren't familiar with it, go check it out. It's completely free. You'll love it. It's a service, right? But when I put up a job listing for Bowman Digital Media on Project Help You Grow, I'll get 200 applications in the first 24 hours. I take the job listing and turn it off because I don't need 200. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm only hiring for one spot. So just think about that. That lady said she got 605 minutes.
Yeah.
And how do you stand out?
How do you stand out from that?
I'm telling you, if people were smart and they knew that they were going to be applying to her, what they should have been doing 3 months before that is going on her post and making comments. Because now when she sees that name in the stack, she recognizes the name, folks. That's one of the ways you stand out. Name visibility, name recognition is critical. And I don't care if you're in sales or development or just looking for a job. Don't wait until you need the train tracks to lay the train tracks because it's too late. You've got to lay those train tracks ahead of time.
Choo choo.
Let's say in the next 6 months, you meet somebody at the company that you want to work for. But if you need the job today, that doesn't help you. But if you need the job in 9 months and you've taken 6 months to find them, 3 months to build a relationship, and then, okay, I need the job, and the job is open and the listing is there, you reach out to your friend and you go, hey, could you put in a word for me? And they're probably thinking like, heck yeah, because there's a referral bonus that I'll get if you sign.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just be real. I'm just being real.
Keep it real. Listen, Ira, we done went over. I don't regret it.
I don't regret it either.
I appreciate you. I think this now. Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. I might have to edit a few things. It's okay. We was live, and we get together. We're some passionate folks. It's okay. We can do that. It's technology, but I just appreciate you coming through because I know that your time is very limited. 2-time TEDx speaker, maxed out LinkedIn connections, over 100,000 followers, philanthropist, owner of your own company, entrepreneur. I mean, people follow, and these are not redundant follows. These are the type of, I can't even start. And can I just say thank you? Because there's some people right now that are thinking like, how do I stand out? How do I stand out? And you just dropped a whole bunch of gems that folks are going to watch this replay and say, oh, that makes sense to me. At least if they're listening, they're going to understand what you're dropping.
If you're watching this right now, you watch the whole episode and you're still like, I don't quite get it. All right. Go to projecthelpyougrow.com. Go to the blog. Because in the blog, I have all this detailed out. The informational interview, I have a whole blog written on it, right? Strategy for LinkedIn. You can go also to bowmandigitalmedia.com. It's been over my shoulder the whole time, right? You could go there, and I have blogs on how to use social media to get what you want. The strategies that you're looking for are there, and it's all free. You don't have to spend a penny. You never have to buy anything. You can't even donate on Project Help You Grow. It's completely 100% free. No ads, nothing to buy, nowhere to donate. Just take the information. I put it up there to help people. So use it.
Ira, thank you for supporting me. And
thanks for having me on.
And coming through and helping the listeners. You've been amazing as far just to be able to just the gems that you drop on me, like every quarter, it's always just this little bit. You're like, hey, sprinkles throughout. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Let me say one last thing.
Yeah.
What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom?
Explain.
You have to take what you learn and apply it. So now the people that have watched this show don't have the same excuse they had before. You can't say you don't know how to do it. I promise you, I've been doing this long enough and I've helped enough people do it. There's no question in my mind the strategies work. Are there other strategies that work? Of course there are. But these ones will get you there really fast, right? So you can go from 0 to 100 very fast, but you have to adjust the way you think and the way you do things, right?
And treat people like people.
Treat people like people is foundational. You need to increase your visibility. That's foundational because who you know is just as important, if not more important than what you know. To summarize, take 80% of your time, figure out how much time you want to dedicate to social media. Cut it up. 80% of it is now commenting, not on your stuff, on everybody else's stuff. Actually read the post, read what they wrote, But then once you read it, never read a post without leaving a comment, but leave a value-added comment. It'll increase your visibility. It'll increase your circle of friends. And then again, remember to go find 20 or 30 of those people that are doing or have done what you want to do. Bookmark them, visit their profiles 2 times a week, comment on their posts, and I guarantee you in a month, at least 5 of those 30 people will have sent you a connection request. Take the challenge and prove me wrong.
Thank you, Ira Bowman.
Thank
you so much for coming on and sharing your gems with us. Y'all, this is something. I know that it is not the tradition of what we usually do, but this is what we needed, and Mother gives care. And we just like to thank Ira Bowman for coming on with us. So thank you so much. And next week's Tish Talks Tech is going to be a little different. I have a very big announcement. And that will be coming to you very, very soon.
Well, I'm gonna be watching for that. I'm gonna be watching for that for sure.
Very, very soon. Yeah. And you know, y'all need to get these skills. Get these skills because there's something in the water. Tech is the key. It will liberate you. And it will open up doors to you that you never thought was possible. And start treating people like people, engage with people. My grandmother used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed. My mama says to me all the time, you cannot get ready. You have to be ready. Okay. And Ira says to treat people like people. The mainframe is where it's at. When you get out here, y'all have to get onto the new 𝗬𝗃 Systems Hub and start talking to folks. When you start learning your stuff in Z Explorer, start talking about that. Start talking about that out loud, not just to yourself, but to each other and to other people. Okay. And I want to thank chat. Hi, Carl, Eric, and Americo and Rita and everybody else that joined us today. Thank you so much. Thanks for staying over with us. Y'all remember to get these skills. Stay tuned for the big announcement. And thank you, Ira Bowman, our special guest. You have a great day. Bye.